And that's another picture. That's the circle, 30 lintels, 30 uprights, the wise egg holes, the station stones, you can see the 4, and it doesn't show the Albury holes, but they're there. And the 2 big stones, that's the heel stone and the slaughter stone. Yeah. Okay, and the next one. Now, the processional avenue, and that is exactly on the line of the summer solstice, and it's 50 degrees from north. And when the sun goes down on that day, it goes down at 50 degrees from north. And the reason they built Stonehenge on that position on the planet is because when you turn round and go to the winter, the sun comes up 50 degrees from south and sets at 50 degrees from south. So the two are connected. The winter and the summer solstices are connected exactly on the same line. So the sun comes up on this line, and in winter, on the winter solstice, in the evening it sets down on that line precisely. So that's why they built it there. It was where they believed the seasons connected. They were time revolved. It was a place which was connected to the heavens. So they go on. That's a plan view, a little map, and Stonehenge, the avenue, the cursus. Now that's about 2 miles long. Originally they thought it was a Roman racecourse, but now the belief is that it was a place where people would gather for processions. Thousands of people could line up and be ready with their banners and flags, ready to come up the avenue on the procession. And over in the corner is Woodhenge. Now that's a big building, and I've got some pictures on the slides to show you that. That's a very important part of this evening, because Woodhenge and Stonehenge were built exactly at the same time. The people who used Woodhenge also built Woodhenge, also built Stonehenge, so they're connected. And the avenue connecting Woodhenge, you see the avenue goes off and away towards the river. Now, for some reason, about 100 years ago, they decided it was too complicated to tell you about the avenue which went straight across. And I've got the next picture to show that. There we are. You see the avenue continues right down to the cursus. And that avenue was spotted by Sir Isaac Newton and also Arthur Conan Doyle. Independently researching Stonehenge, they mentioned and catalogued this avenue. And I've walked down it, and I call it the Royal Approach, because it's so gradual. You don't notice that you're actually on a hill. And you walk down, you feel wonderful. And you're approaching Stonehenge on the horizon, and the hills go away, and the hill in front. It's just amazing. And for me, when I go to visit Stonehenge, every time I go and approach it from the perspective of the Royal Approach. Yep, and now, this is Woodhenge, and next to it is the biggest earthworks in Europe. It's 1,500 feet in diameter, and it has now remnants of all types of different buildings and fires. It had about 2,000 people in this encampment, so they came from all over the country to this place to encamp, to stay for several days, and there's evidence to prove this. They found ditches with pig bones in, and evidence of fires and accommodation. No problem at all. So people were coming from miles and miles away and meeting here. Now, Woodhenge, we all agree, was a place where people could meet, and it was a building. No doubt about it. Everyone agrees. It was a building. And debates would take place over several days. So, that's what Woodhenge looks like today. It's a field, and the holes where the original posts were have just been concrete blocks put in. So it's not, you wouldn't think there's much information there, but there is. And there it is again. And that's a better view. It's 150 feet in diameter. And the holes, I'll show it. The outer one is a circle, but the inner one is an oval. And the oval changes all the time. So there's a symmetry there. Now, I'm a person who's interested in puzzles. So, now, there are 16 major post holes. And you can see there's a trench on either side where they had to put the post in, and then the men would have to lever it up and position it. And these timbers were huge. This was a big building, 150 feet diameter. That's bigger than Stonehenge. That's the timber. That's 30 inches in diameter. That was some building. It wasn't just a garden shed. That's big. And that's the interpretation in the books, the interpretation on Google. Now, when I look at this, I can see how they've made that roof to correspond with the 16 major post holes in the middle. But I can't imagine 2,000 people being inside there, all trying to look over each other in the dark, and okay, it's got a hole in the middle where maybe a speaker would be, but it's a bit crude, and it doesn't really explain anything. So what I did was start to look at these 16 major post holes. There's 32 holes behind that, which can be divided into twos, and I'd struck a line, and slowly but surely tried to formulate, could this mean, what I did, I got all my bits and pieces at home and I made a model. Now the model is under one of the cloths there. You're going to see it later. It's a surprise. And the whole building appeared in my front room. I started to put it together like a three-dimensional jigsaw. So these drawings are just to show you how my mind was thinking, how I could find these different pieces to this building. And I also looked at the books. What sort of technology, how did they fasten logs together, so on. And that's the building I came up with. The 16 major post holes had to be exactly that oval to enable the frame on top for the apex and the roof to be built. The balcony on the outside where there's a ring of small post holes, so that people who were inside, it was like a great big bull ring with a roof, an auditorium, and where everyone could sit down and the speaker would speak, and if you wanted to go to the toilet you could walk back along the balcony and down and away. You didn't disturb the proceedings. And I had a chap from Bournemouth University build this computer graphics. It's not all that good, but it's good enough for people to understand that when you walked into this building, as you went in, on the outside it's very low key, it's only small timbers, it's got a balcony, and it looks round. You don't think much of it, but when you walked inside, wow, all these people would sit. And if you can imagine, you start to get the idea these people weren't stupid. They were coming together, they were discussing things, they were having debates, they're going away, having a meal, coming back. You know, this is a civilization. A people who really were thinkers. So, to be able to build that, if I had to build that, when I looked at it, it's got the least amount of post holes to create it. If I'd have created it, I would have used many, many more. But it's absolutely fascinating. Ignore the bubbles. And that's inside. The computer graphics, I'm afraid, not too good. But you get the drift. Seating and great big timbers with flying buttresses. And yep. And there we are, another picture. Just to give you an idea of, it was all wood.